Imagine waking up one day only to find that your life has been subtly manipulated by an invisible force. This isn't the plot of a science fiction movie, but rather the reality of our everyday lives. That invisible force is artificial intelligence, or AI. It's everywhere, from the smartphones we can't live without to the cars we drive, and even the way businesses operate. It's become so ingrained in our lives that we often don't realize it's there. But what happens when this invisible force starts making decisions for us? When it starts deciding who gets hired for a job, who gets approved for a loan, or even who gets parole? This is where we start to see the darker side of AI, the bias that can be subtly woven into its algorithms. You see, AI is only as unbiased as the data it's trained on. If that data reflects the biases of our society, biases around race, gender, socioeconomic status, and more, then the AI will inherently carry those biases forward. This is known as AI bias, and it's a problem that's becoming increasingly prevalent as AI continues to permeate every corner of our society. The implications of AI bias are far-reaching and often profound. It can create a feedback loop, reinforcing and perpetuating societal biases. It can lead to unfair outcomes in critical areas of life, like employment, criminal justice, and healthcare. And because AI operates behind the scenes, these biases can go unnoticed and unchecked. So are we living under the tyrannical rule of algorithms? It's a question worth pondering. As we delve deeper into the world of AI, we'll uncover the ways in which it subtly influences our lives and explore how we can work towards ensuring that this technology serves as a tool for fairness and equality rather than a perpetuator of bias and discrimination. When you apply for a job, you believe in a fair chance. But what if the odds are stacked against you from the start? Welcome to the world of biased hiring algorithms. With the rise of artificial intelligence, many corporations have turned to automated hiring processes, promising efficiency and objectivity. But beneath the shiny veneer of modern technology, a troubling truth lurks. Imagine a scenario where you apply for a job online. Your application, among hundreds, is processed by an algorithm that's been trained to identify ideal candidates. But these algorithms aren't as objective as you might think. They learn from past data, reflecting historical hiring practices. If a company has historically favored certain demographics, say males from prestigious universities, the algorithm will too, perpetuating existing biases. Take Amazon's recruitment tool as an example. In 2018, it was revealed that the tech giant's AI system was biased against women. The algorithm had taught itself that male candidates were preferable, penalizing resumes that included the word women's, as in women's chess club captain. The result? A supposedly objective system reinforcing age-old gender biases. This isn't an isolated incident. Research has shown that hiring algorithms can also be biased against certain racial or ethnic groups, and even against individuals with disabilities. Instead of leveling the playing field, these algorithms can widen social inequalities, making it harder for underrepresented groups to break into certain industries. The implications of this are far-reaching. Job applicants are being denied opportunities, not due to lack of skill or experience, but because of algorithmic bias. On a larger scale, this contributes to societal inequality, with privileged groups continuing to dominate the workforce. The promise of objectivity, it seems, is tainted by the bias of algorithms. As we move forward, we must scrutinize these systems, ensuring they promote fairness rather than perpetuate discrimination. Because when it comes to our careers, we all deserve a fair shot. Justice should be blind. But what happens when it's guided by a biased hand? The criminal justice system, a pillar of our society, isn't immune to the influence of artificial intelligence. And worryingly, it's not immune to the biases that can come embedded in these algorithms. Take predictive policing algorithms, for instance. These tools, designed to anticipate crime and streamline law enforcement, sound like a dream come true. But there's a catch. These algorithms base their predictions on historical crime data, and this data carries the weight of long-standing societal biases. The result? Predictive policing algorithms can often perpetuate the over-policing of marginalized communities, leading to a cycle of unjust arrests and incarceration. Let's consider a real-life example. In a city we'll call Metropolis, the police department started using a predictive policing algorithm. The algorithm was trained on past crime data from the city, which included a disproportionate number of arrests from certain neighborhoods. As a result, the algorithm started predicting more crime in these areas, leading to increased police presence and more arrests, which then fed back into the system, reinforcing the skewed predictions. This isn't an isolated incident. Similar stories have unfolded across the country, raising serious questions about the implications of algorithmic bias on our criminal justice system. And it's not just about policing. AI algorithms are also used in deciding bail amounts, assessing the risk of reoffending, and even in sentencing. These algorithms, despite their mathematical veneer, can carry biases that lead to harsher outcomes for certain groups, further entrenching systemic inequalities. The problems we're discussing here aren't simple to solve. They're deeply intertwined with societal issues that have persisted for centuries. But as we increasingly rely on AI in our justice system, it's crucial that we confront these biases head-on. In our quest for justice, have we unwittingly allowed bias to creep in? The gavel falls, and a life changes forever. But is the sentence just, or just another victim of AI bias? In today's justice system, the use of artificial intelligence is increasingly common. Judges are turning to AI-driven sentencing algorithms to help determine the fate of defendants. These algorithms assess a defendant's risk of reoffending to inform sentencing decisions. On the surface, this might seem like a step towards impartiality, a way to remove human bias from the equation. But the reality is far from it. Let's consider the case of Wisconsin versus Loomis. Here, a man was given a 6-year prison term, in part based on a risk assessment score generated by an AI algorithm. The defendant's lawyers argued that the use of this algorithm violated his rights to due process, as the workings of the algorithm were kept secret, a black box of sorts. The Supreme Court, however, upheld the sentence, setting a precedent for the use of these algorithms in courts across the nation. The issue at hand isn't just about transparency, it's about fairness. Research has shown that these sentencing algorithms are not as unbiased as they claim to be. They're trained on historical data that is often steeped in systemic bias. This leads to a disturbing trend: harsher sentencing recommendations for people of color. The algorithm, in essence, mimics and perpetuates the biases present in our justice system. What does this mean for defendants? They're not just up against the evidence presented in court, they're up against a system that's inherently biased against them. And the implications don't stop there. This bias breeds distrust in the justice system, further marginalizing communities that are already disproportionately affected. When justice is meted out by an algorithm, can it truly be fair? As we continue to rely on AI in our courts, we must grapple with this question. Because at the intersection of technology and justice, the stakes couldn't be higher. Healthcare is a matter of life and death. But what happens when bias infiltrates the very algorithms meant to save lives? A realm where AI has made significant strides is healthcare. From automated patient triage to predicting disease outbreaks, artificial intelligence has promised to revolutionize healthcare, making it more efficient and accessible. But beneath this promise, a troubling pattern emerges: AI bias. Take the case of medical diagnosis algorithms. These AI-powered systems are designed to assist doctors by predicting patient outcomes, recommending treatments, and even diagnosing diseases. They learn from historical data, just like other AI systems. But here's the catch: if the data is biased, the AI will be too. Let's consider a real-life example. A study published in 2019 revealed an alarming bias in a healthcare algorithm widely used in the United States. The algorithm was intended to predict which patients would benefit from extra medical care. However, it was found to be less likely to recommend black patients for these programs compared to white patients with similar health conditions. The root of this bias? The algorithm was trained on data reflecting historical healthcare spending, which is lower for black patients due to systemic inequalities. This example underscores a broader issue. When AI systems learn from historical data, they also learn the biases inherent in that data. And in healthcare, these biases can have life-altering consequences. They can lead to misdiagnoses, inappropriate treatments, and even denied access to necessary care. The implications are clear. Bias in healthcare algorithms is not just a tech problem, it's a public health problem. It can exacerbate existing health disparities, particularly for marginalized communities who already face barriers to healthcare access. In the realm of healthcare, the stakes of AI bias are disturbingly high. The question then is, how can we ensure that the AI systems meant to save lives do not instead perpetuate harm? This is the challenge we must grapple with as we continue to integrate AI into our healthcare systems. A scan, a diagnosis, a treatment plan. But what if your skin color clouds the judgment of the very algorithm meant to help you? Artificial intelligence has been making strides in healthcare, promising to revolutionize the way we diagnose and treat diseases. However, there's a hidden caveat. These algorithms, trained on datasets that often lack diversity, can exhibit biases. One striking area where this is apparent is medical imaging. Imagine a scenario where a patient walks into a clinic for a routine checkup. They undergo a scan, which is then analyzed by an AI algorithm. This algorithm, trained on thousands of images, is designed to detect abnormalities and inform the treatment plan. Sounds efficient and promising, right? But here's the catch. Studies have shown that these algorithms can be less accurate for patients with darker skin tones. Why does this happen? Well, the answer lies in the data. If the algorithm has been trained predominantly on images of lighter-skinned patients, it may not be as effective in analyzing scans of darker-skinned individuals. This can result in missed or delayed diagnoses and inadequate treatment, creating a healthcare disparity that is often overlooked. Let's consider a real-life case study. A study conducted in 2023 found that an AI algorithm used to detect certain types of skin cancer was 10 times less accurate in identifying malignancies in dark-skinned individuals compared to their lighter-skinned counterparts. This is a stark reminder of the potential consequences of unchecked AI bias in healthcare. The implications of this are far-reaching. It means that a patient's skin color could potentially influence the quality of care they receive. It means that marginalized communities may continue to face barriers in accessing adequate healthcare. It's a stark reminder that as we strive to leverage the power of AI in healthcare, we must also address the biases inherent in these systems. In the quest for better healthcare, we must first confront the biases within our algorithms. As we stand at the precipice of the AI revolution, we must ask, who is responsible for the biases within the algorithms? This pivotal question leads us into the ethical labyrinth that surrounds the issue of AI bias. The biases embedded in AI systems are not a mere glitch or programming oversight. They are a reflection of the data these systems are trained on, data that is often a mirror of our own societal biases. Tech companies, the architects and custodians of these AI systems, bear a significant portion of this responsibility. It is their duty to ensure that the data used to train these algorithms is diverse and representative. They must also put in place rigorous testing and auditing processes to identify and rectify any inherent biases. Policymakers, too, have a crucial role to play. They must craft legislation that governs the use of AI, setting clear guidelines on transparency, accountability, and fairness. They must ensure that there are robust mechanisms in place to hold tech companies accountable for the consequences of biased algorithms. But the responsibility doesn't stop there. As a society, we too are stakeholders in the AI revolution. We must strive to understand the impact of AI on our lives and demand transparency from the companies that build these systems. We must also challenge our own biases, for it is these biases that seep into the data that trains the algorithms. The ethical consideration of AI bias is not just about pointing fingers or assigning blame. It's about acknowledging the power and potential of AI, and striving to ensure that this power is harnessed for the benefit of all, not just a privileged few. As we continue to embrace AI, we must also embrace the responsibility that comes with it. We must strive to build a future where AI is a tool for empowerment, not oppression, a tool for equality, not division. The power of AI is undeniable, but with great power comes great responsibility. As we've seen, AI bias affects us all, in ways we may not even realize. From the job market to the courtroom, from our healthcare system to the very way our cities are policed, the specter of bias in algorithms looms large. This bias, whether unconscious or intentional, is not a mere side effect of technological advancement. It's a direct reflection of the data we feed into these systems, data that carries with it the weight of our societal prejudices and disparities. In the job market, AI bias can be a barrier to opportunity, favoring the privileged while marginalizing those who are already at a disadvantage. The consequences are not just individual, but societal, perpetuating a cycle of inequality that is hard to break. In the criminal justice system, biased algorithms can mean the difference between freedom and incarceration. They can amplify existing prejudices, leading to over-policing of minority neighborhoods and harsher sentences for people of color. In healthcare, AI bias can be a matter of life and death. Racial biases in medical algorithms can lead to disparities in diagnosis and treatment, depriving vulnerable populations of the care they need. And yet, these biases are not inevitable. They're the product of choices we make, about what data to use, how to interpret it, and who gets to make those decisions. To challenge AI bias, we need to start by challenging ourselves, by becoming more aware of these biases and advocating for change. We need to push for more transparency in how algorithms are developed and used. We need to demand accountability from the corporations and institutions that deploy these algorithms. And we need to work towards a more diverse and inclusive tech industry, where a wider range of voices can contribute to the design and implementation of AI systems. The future of AI is in our hands. Let's ensure it's a future free from bias.